I just had the best dance party in my backyard. I'm sweaty and my hair's a bit of a mess. But if you have not gone to check out Share the Light 333, all one word on Instagram, I know I'm sure she has other social media platforms, but that's how I found her. She is incredible, beautiful, beautiful in her radiance, and I love her. And so, anyway, go check her out right now or just write it down so you can save it and go back. Oh, wow. So the vision that I had the other day, I was laying in bed and it was like I had one last, I can't even call it a stone. It was like a grain of sand, but that one grain of sand, and I just looked at it and I just let it go. And as I let it go, it was like all these people visions, like, like the whole world stood still and I just watched it go. But that one grain of sand made such a massive impact that, yeah. So that's where we are. And I love that I can share these visions with you, these dreams with you, because a lot of times we have them, and even though we don't know what's next, but we had an art showing last night. It was a cautionary tale, and I'm going to make the story behind the piece short and sweet. It was called Majestic Majesty, and I will do a video on it to kind of show you. It was a long process. It's a large piece. And I actually had somebody, she said she couldn't afford the original. And I'm also keeping all my originals right now for my solo shows because I would like to bounce around in my solo shows. But I'm going to be making prints. And so it's one of my next adventures is to figure out how to make prints because a lot of my pieces are textured. And then some of them have epoxy on them. So anyway, side note, the piece, friend of mine, we met. She came to one of my retreats. She's like, I don't know who you are, but I had to meet you. You're my people. And then after that, we said, let's go on a walk together. So we go on a walk and we're walking around this beautiful track, a tree, rainbows out. Let me mind you, we are on no drugs, okay? This is high on life. This tree rainbows out. And because it caught me off guard, I go, whoa. And she goes, oh my gosh, you saw it too. And I was like, yes, should we just go stand with the tree? And so we did, and then kept on about our way. Then about a month later, and I can't remember if I had a dream or if I met this gentleman first. Either way, it ties in together. There's a gentleman sitting by a rock by the same tree. And I keep hearing in my voice, say something to him. And of course I'm like, man, because he's just kind of sitting there on the rock, looking down in the dumps, and you're on a walk by yourself. And so, but I heard say something to him. And so I said, you better be careful, that tree, she speaks. And now I know by that statement alone, it's either going to shut somebody down and they're going to look at me like I'm crazy and they're not going to respond, or on the flip side, they could be inquisitive and curious about it. And he looked up and he goes, what would she say? And so that kind of led us into the story. And he said, I prayed and he said, I'm in a really rough time. And I prayed and I told God, I'm going to sit here until somebody shows up. He said, and I saw you walking around the corner because where he is, you walk around this huge corner into the straightaway. And he said, I thought to myself, there's no way it's going to be a female walking alone. And I said, but maybe it is. And so I said, may I hug you? And we hugged. And I said, well, would you like to continue this walk with me? And we did. And so then I think it was after that I had a dream. And I had a dream that there were two twin boys. And I'm aware, and we're kind of in a half body of water. And the look in front of me is like we're stepping into a camper or a boat or something. And there's this one kid jumping up and down, and like asking for all this attention. And on the other side, I hadn't recognized it. And I'm looking at this sweet kid going, baby, what do you need? Like, what do you need right now? And then I look on the other side and it's the twin boy drowning. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, distraction. And so I pick him up into my hands. And as I do that, just bear with me on all of this. This is my dream. This kind of dark, shadowy something came up and I just said, nope. And I leapt out and we were out and free. And so, it was a friend of mine and this gentleman, we met back at a different park, and we were all kind of talking about our stories, sharing our gifts, sharing what were kind of our visions and our dreams. And he got to talking about his brother, and he said, he's like, let me show you some videos. And so he started sharing us some videos, and I said, like, wait a minute. I said, are you a twin? He said, yeah, why? And I just said, well, I said, is your brother kind of big and flashy personality and you don't get a whole lot of attention? He goes, yeah, why? He's got all these flashy things, and it's normally really fun for people. And he said, and I just don't get a lot. I said, you've got to be kidding me. I had a dream, and I told him about it, and I just told him, I hope that you know that you're here and you're loved, and we're all coming together one way or another. And so that was the through and through the big inspiration. And of course the cautionary tale, it kind of fit right in. And I'll throw an image up here of the piece. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. We had the cautionary tale. It was a great turnout, and to have so many people that I have not known very long, I've met at marketing events, but of course we connect so quickly, show up, truly touched my heart. And if you know, if you've been on a journey for a while of bettering yourself and really putting your dreams and your visions in the forefront of what you're creating, and you're not allowing yourself to have many distractions. And I had to get clear on what my distractions were. I had to really be clear about that. So I would invite you to do that. But when you're doing that, a lot of people may not go along with it. It might be weird to them. And I can understand how some of us, if you're here, your mission probably doesn't fit into the status quo. And it's probably too far out there, if you will, for most people's minds to compartmentalize. However, when we're working with both sides of the playing field and it's in harmony, in unison, nothing is out of reach. Nothing is too wild. It's just our imagination, and then we make it come to life. But there are a lot of people who are only working with one side of the brain, whatever side that is. And so then it's about making the balance into the other unknown world that you might feel uncomfortable with. If you're extremely, extremely, extremely creative, it might be difficult for you to take action. But if you're really good at taking action, and just getting things done very logical, it might be hard for you to dream. It might be hard for you to envision some beautiful on a hill far away. I mean, it just envisions something that you can't see until you actually start creating it. So I heard this morning, we have entered no man's land, and we've made the leap. As a collective, it took so many of us to be able to systematically rise out. And there might have been a lot of us just jumping, and we're just, yay, we're jumping and it's exciting. If you know what I mean, I hope you do. But when that pendulum swings, and every single time you are able to stop because you don't swing back into the lows, if that makes sense. If you've solidified the groundwork of the low where you don't need to go back and be angry, you don't need to go back and to be frustrated, you don't need to go back and be judgmental, you don't need to go back and be self-condemning. You don't need to go back in and doubt yourself. And so every time you do that and you solidify another layer of your consciousness, that pendulum swing, you get to jump higher. And it's because we've been in the pits of it that we can hold so much love, because we've been there. We know what it feels like. We just don't want to make anybody else feel like we can, but we choose wisely. And so it's like we've been jumping and we've been existing in these places, but it took enough of us to elevate the consciousness in the great I am, to hold the space of love. Think about one person has the capacity to hold the space of love. And then if you're aware, you can radiate that out and hold that field of consciousness so intimately. But sometimes there are distractions. I can be honest, that self-doubt or the worry or the, man, how are they going to take this? How are they going to take the offering or the medicine that I'm giving, but that's not up for us to decide. Everybody takes it in their own manner and in their own terms, and that seed will grow at some point, but we still plant seeds. And so it took enough of us to fly. And to, if you think about, I was telling somebody the other day, if I begin singing, and you can have a gorgeous, gorgeous voice, but if two people come in and sing and we start harmonizing, and then three people come in and we start adding different layers to the field, and then we have the full orchestration of all of us singing in harmony and in unison together, you know, when that sound reaches a certain peak, it just shatters the illusion. It shatters it all. And when all of us sing in the glory and honor and praise of the Most High God, ain't no stopping us now. Ow, oh. Like we're free. We're free of it. And we're dancing, and we are fully, not only capable, but we are fully embodied in the presence of all that we are. And we can recognize when somebody comes to the table, what they're bringing to the table. And we don't have to, it's not ours anymore. It's not ours anymore. And we can be loving and compassionate and empathetic, and we can say, hey, you know, I've been there. I feel right where you are. Or how does this feel for you? We can ask questions which will help them open their mind and their space to a new kind of glorious, open-hearted feel, to know that we're seen, we're heard, we're supported, we're loved. But we've done it. We've done it, and we've entered no man's land. And because of all the hard work that we have been doing, it's like when we decided to leave the old system of pain and suffering, and we began on that path of righteousness through source, through divine, through God, we were creating systematically. We were creating anew based on our own love, healing. And I'm doing this, but it's happening in here. So we're doing this every single time. And it's like we've been weaving all the fabric of life back within us to come alive and live wholeheartedly in freedom and expansion, in breath and in love, in the blood in our body that flows. It was so much harmony and like effervescence. It's just pure glory. And so, but because we have created this space, once you enter the land of the living, everything that you have created is there, and it's ready and ripe for the picking. Essentially, like the fruits of our labor are done. And basically, when you're ready to take the leap of faith, you know where to find us. When you're ready to face an insecurity or face an uncomfortable version of yourself, when you're ready to, if you are typically a person that makes decisions based out of fear, based out of worry, based out of doubt, based out of hesitation, and you're tired of that, then you know where to find us, because we can help assist in those ways. But also keep on keeping on. We're going to continue creating. We're going to keep on making our dreams come true, and just living and seeing what we're capable of doing while we have this beautiful gift of being here on earth, where we can create. We can, and we are, and it's quite magical. It's quite magical. Is that all? Your being radiates. Your being radiates. Okay, we'll deliver a message. Get a little closer to you. This is always for our highest and best good and the highest good of all, through the divine will of Mother, Father, God, in service to humanity, the greatest good, the collective ascension, as we, as a whole, and for those of you who are just getting started, just seeing an example of what it is, what it could look like, knowing that it does not have to look like ours. It is exactly yours. I had a beautiful girl the other day. We were talking about stepping into her femininity a little bit more, and she was like, what would that look like? And I said, whatever you want it to. And she goes, oh my gosh, I never thought of it like that. And But that's what it is. It doesn't have to look like anybody else. It's how you want to be, and it's how you want to step forward. And maybe you try something on, you're like, I don't really like that. And then you can try something new. So anyway, to receive this transmission, all you have to do is say yes. We are smiling. We are smiling. The angelic frequencies, the embodiment of the codes of the divine, that radiate within your being. Your energy is so bright. Ayakaramo karatasiana karatayana akanamo karatisiana ayana wana karatiana alakonomo karatisiana akarato koranana yana akarato pusina kanabo ayana ayakano ayana latila mukuro yasiana ayakino ayana layana takri akrami karato kuat karami akrato kolatisia karab Akiago kirata mia kara kontiala kawa ayakatoa kabokura karatisia ayakwara oa kamalakadia laya wa karatisia ayana korotaya maya ayana wa ya karagia stakawa shana wa ya ayakiara ya yastia kanwata isiata kanmo aya that second one was a kind of a tongue twister, it felt like. Thank you. For those of you asking, I did have a friend of mine say, how do you do this? And I allow myself to be fully open, to be of assistance to humanity, and to receive what it is that needs to be delivered. The messenger, whatever you want to put terms on it, it just is. But to be here and to be of service in this way. And a lot of times, if you are speaking in your specific language, if I say home, it might mean something drastically different depending on what home has looked like to you. And so when I speak the codes of the soul remembrance, there's no need for the brain to ping pong back and forth. It enters the heart and it enters the body. And so if you have questions, that's why. I did have a friend ask me, and she said, I want to connect more. And so to connect more is just to be open more, to figure out where a block may be that you're living with worry, you're living with doubt, or if you are living in fear, I can speak of this honestly. If you are living in fear or worry of the perception of others, just sit with judgment wholeheartedly and fully. If you're living with the worry and the doubt, sit with worry and doubt wholeheartedly so that you can get to know it. So that when somebody does come into your playing field with worry and doubt about what you're doing, you know how to address it because you've been there and you've sat with it with honor. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to leave them below. It's an honor, a blessing, and a privilege to be here and to be of service. If you are in the greater Kansas City area and you would like for me to come and do a presentation or a public speaking, inspirational speaking, or even delivering some messages, I am available for that. Contact me with there.But@gmail.com and we can set something up. And if you would like for me to come in and teach a group session of meditation, I can do this over Zoom as well. But I am, like I said, moving away from one-on-one. So I would prefer 5 or 6 or more. And then we can impact more hearts, more love. And where 2 or more gather, we move mountains. So especially within the space of love, within the space of compassion and joy and honor and reverence to life and all that life brings, and knowing that we have all been through it to become it. I'm Jennifer Renee. This is Within by Jen. It's within each and every one of us. It always, always has been. I love you so very much. I hope you have a blessed and beautiful weekend, and I'll see you all in the next video. Also, thank you for your likes, your shares, your comments. It helps get this out to more people. It really does mean the world to me.